All right, we'll talk a lot about the game last night, what we saw, what we didn't see, put it all into context. But first, the 49ers make a move that can't be surprising at all, bringing back former running back, well, he's still a running back, but former 49er running back Jeff Wilson Jr. 49ers have had all the injuries at the running back position, and so Jeff Wilson comes back. And the reason the 49ers would make this move quite clearly was because of the injuries, the latest being Amir Abdullah, but also Jeff Wilson is a veteran. He's been around. He knows the system. And so there's very little acclimation period that has to take place. And that's the attractive thing for teams whenever there are injuries and there's not a whole lot of time to get a guy up to speed. They always kind of lean back into someone who's been in their camp, someone who's been around. And in the case of Jeff Wilson Jr., coming to the 49ers a long time ago as an undrafted rookie, and then at one point being the team's leading rusher for a season. And of course, the 49ers parted ways with Jeff Wilson, traded him to the Dolphins right after they acquired Christian McCaffrey in that trade in 2022. So that's the move, an expected move, expected in the sense that 49ers just need more running backs. A lot of attrition at that position in training camp, and the 49ers have really felt it here recently. All right, so now let's kind of pivot and look at the game that happened last night. All right, so I'll admit the game last night, 49ers and the Broncos, very difficult to watch, as are most preseason games. The 49ers lose this one 30-9, but I almost find it more interesting in retrospect. And even while it was unfolding, the first thing that kind of came to mind, even before the game, was just seeing the number of players that the 49ers simply were not suiting up for this game. Brock Purdy, Christian McCaffrey, George Kittle, Kyle Juszczyk, Trent Williams, almost the entire offensive line other than Ben Barch did not suit up. And of course, defensively, Bosa, Warner, Lenore, those were the guys who were healthy and didn't play, and then the guys that were injured as well. But what I found interesting was that the Broncos decided to play their regulars, their starters. The defensive player of the year, Patrick Surtain, was out there. Bo Nix was out there. So they had their guys out there. So anytime Bo Nix, the starting quarterback, is going to be out there, of course, the starting offensive line is going to be out there. So for the Broncos, they opened this game. The first 19 snaps of offense was their first team offense. For the defense, they played 12 snaps. The joint practice on Thursday was thoroughly dominated by the Broncos defense for most of that practice. And then later on, Brock Purdy got things going, and they made some plays, scored a couple touchdowns, and kind of ended that practice on a high note. So when I saw the Broncos defense was out there, my first thought was, this could be really rough. But what happened? Mac Jones and company marched down the field, and they scored a touchdown on an 8-play drive. And the key play on that drive was Jordan Watkins making a 50-yard catch, 50-yard reception over the Broncos nickelback, and eventually tackled by Talanoa Hufanga. So yes, the thing with this 49ers game was that they jumped out to a 9-0 lead, and it was 9-3 when the Broncos offense left the game and the Broncos defense left the game. So the 49ers were leading this game 9-3. And then what happens is 49ers backups were playing against the Broncos reserves, the Broncos starters. So therefore, that meant when the 49ers went to their third unit on offense and defense, they were playing against the Broncos backups. So that being said, probably a lot more encouraging signs for the 49ers than not, because the guys who did not play well, or the units for the 49ers that saw most of the points being scored against them or not doing anything offensively, primarily comprised of players who won't be on the team here in a couple of weeks as they cut down from the 90-man roster to the 53. But so much of what you see there needs to be context to it, especially in the preseason. And I'll take case in point is Jordan Watkins makes the big play and everything is looking good. Wow, Jordan Watkins just made a 50-yard pass reception. This is a guy that has good speed, has really put himself in a position to contend for significant playing time once the regular season begins. But then you find out that, as rookies do, they make mistakes. His mistakes were maybe a little bit less noticeable, but huge mistakes nonetheless. There was a false start, which was obvious because his number is being called out, false start number 17. But the interception that Mac Jones had, that was all on Jordan Watkins, just running the wrong route. Then you take another guy like Nick Martin, who had his struggles were glaring, bad angles to the football, the missed tackles, giving up a touchdown in coverage. And, very easy to look at Nick Martin, who, when the 49ers took him at number 75 overall, like, hey, this guy could be a starter. This could be a guy that replaces Dre Greenlaw if D. Winters can't take that next step. That's why the 49ers drafted him. D. Winters has taken that next step. It looks to me like there's pretty significant separation there between Winters and Nick Martin. And then the game, what we saw Saturday night, certainly doesn't help Nick Martin at all. Or does it? Getting a chance to talk to him after the game in the locker room, you get a sense of how certain guys react to adversity. And I want you to watch this 2-minute interview I did with Nick after the game. And I think it kind of says a lot about his mindset, how he viewed the game. And by the way, when I went up to him in the locker room, he was already watching film from the recently completed game. So here's that snippet, me and Nick Martin in the 49ers locker room after the game.
Definitely got some improvement to do, and it was fun to be out there, definitely got some improvement to do as myself and as a team, but it was definitely a blessing to be out there and playing with the guys and getting that first one under the belt. So,
how much of it is just getting comfortable with the defense so you can fly around and make plays?
I say that might be a big part of it. Definitely got a lot of growth to do, a lot of learning to do, and I'm just excited for the process and excited to get better, excited to work and grow from this and learn from my mistakes and just become a better player each and every day. So
for a guy that played as much as you did in college, how tough is it to have to kind of start over and make mistakes and how's your attitude about you're going to make mistakes, or maybe you don't, but rookies make mistakes, and just learning from those.
It's a learning process, it's definitely, it makes you have to be the same, even in the highs, even in the lows. So, and definitely just accepting adversity and understanding that it's crazy that you were right here and now you're starting from the ground up again, but embracing the journey and embracing each and every part of it, and understanding that you started somewhere. Now you just got to start again and get to where you was again and go past that and keep growing. So, but that process is just part of it. It's the journey, and I'm learning through it. So,
was there a play tonight that you're thinking about, like, I wish I could have that one back?
There was a few of them, definitely a few that I wish I could have back, but that's life. You know what I'm saying? You wish you could have some moments back, but you just got to learn from them and make sure to capitalize on them the next time.
You sound like you have a good attitude and you're upbeat about this.
Yeah, man. I'm taking it on the chin, and making sure that I learn from it and get better. So,
all right.
100% true, because rookies, as I've noted, rookies make mistakes. They always make mistakes. Nobody's perfect. Does he have a long way to go? Quite obviously. But he recognizes that as well. So that's a guy that, can he put himself in a position to be a contributor year one? That's a lot on his plate, and a big challenge ahead of him to try to do just that. A lot of positives and not so positives. Obviously, the second or the third and fourth quarterbacks, who I guess last night were the second and third quarterbacks, didn't show much at all. And the fact that Tanner Mordecai was released or waived by the 49ers last week and nobody claimed him on their 90-man roster. The fact that Carter Bradley had been without a team until the 49ers brought him in for a tryout and ended up signing him. That tells you that when the time comes for the 49ers to have their initial 53-man roster, that if they want to bring one of those guys back to the practice squad, that avenue will be open for them, because I don't think there's any way a team would claim either of those quarterbacks and have to keep them on their 53-man roster. So that's why I think this is the year that it really makes a lot of sense for the 49ers to keep two quarterbacks. Now, I realize that now if a team keeps three quarterbacks on their 53-man roster, they have the right to suit up all three quarterbacks. And if a team needs a third quarterback in the course of the game, that is available to them. We all know why that rule is in effect. It's because of the 49ers in the NFC Championship game when Brock Purdy got injured and then Josh Johnson got injured. And the 49ers didn't really have anybody. They had Christian McCaffrey back there throwing a halfback pass, and Brock Purdy with his elbow basically dangling off his arm couldn't throw the football. We saw how that game just got away from the 49ers. That kind of situation happens so infrequently. I guess for me, covering the team, it's happened once in 30 years. So it makes, in my mind, a lot more sense, because if you've lost your top two quarterbacks, you're probably not going to win the game anyway. It just makes more sense to me to keep a player at another spot, whether it's defensive line, whether it's running back, whether it's defensive back, whether it's another linebacker. It just makes more sense to keep a player at another position who's a better player than the third quarterback that you would keep. Here's one example. Last year, the 49ers were hoping to bring back the running back, Cody Schrader, to the practice squad. They released him. The Rams claim him. He's still with the Rams. This year, they might be in a similar situation with Corey Kiner. 1,000-yard rusher back-to-back seasons at University of Cincinnati. He showed some good things last night. Also, the 49ers have really been decimated at the running back position with injuries to Isaac Rindo, to Jordan James, and now to Amir Abdullah. So, Kiner is a guy that, and by the way, the 49ers have had a lot of luck, a lot of success, I should say, signing undrafted rookie running back. So he might be the next guy. He might be worth keeping. Another guy who probably when camp started was considered a long shot, Sebastian Valdez, a defensive tackle from Washington. They call him the Hulk. He looked the part in practices leading up to the game, and then in the game Saturday night also looked the part. He had a very strong showing. So, those are some of the things the 49ers have to look at when piecing together the 53-man roster. There was plenty of ups and downs for the 49ers. A guy like Chase Lucas showed up, played well. He played nickelback pretty much the entire game in place of Upton Stout, who has a calf situation going on. So the 49ers held him out. He looked good, did Chase Lucas. So did Marquis Siegel. Really good. Could he possibly be a starter week one? I know I've kind of anointed Jason Pinnock and Jair Brown as the starters for the 49ers week one against Seattle, but the way Marquis Siegel was flying around kind of makes you wonder if he could insert himself into the mix. So a rookie who maybe last night, I don't know all the details of how he did as far as his assignments go, but he certainly looked the part. And going back to the defensive tackle, if it comes down to Kalia Davis or Sebastian Valdez, Kalia Davis has had a really good camp, coming off a good showing in the preseason last year until he got that knee injury. But there's enough young guys that show enough promise. That's why I think they run light on the quarterback position. A lot of teams keep two quarterbacks, so it's not like they'd be doing something out of the ordinary that other teams aren't doing. But a guy like Robert Beal has had a good camp. Is there going to be a roster spot for him? At the defensive backfield, a lot of competition there. Renardo Green might return to action this week. And Diamador Lenore, they're probably going to bring him along slowly. So that opens the door for, Trey Brown or Dallas Flowers or Darrell Luter. All those guys in this game did some good and some not so good, but that's definitely all part of the process. Junior Bergen had a really nice move on a punt return, but then, there was another play later where he probably should have gone up and fielded the punt. Instead, let it bounce, and 49ers lost some yards on that. So like I said, kind of a more interesting game when you consider all the situations the 49ers were faced with, all the context of everything else. Going back to Jordan Watkins, the wide receiver position, wide open. And talking to some people, there is some belief that, Juwan Jennings, it isn't just the calf. There's also the contract is why, he hasn't been practicing now this is 2 weeks after he's been sidelined for 2 weeks with the calf injury. I did not even see him at the stadium yesterday. I don't know that he was or wasn't, but I think I saw every 49ers player on the 90-man roster except for Juwan Jennings. So didn't see him on the sideline, didn't see him upstairs watching the game in the booth. I just didn't see him at all. So certainly a situation to keep an eye on. Another situation to keep an eye on, I'm just going to throw this out there. One of my good friends at NBC New England put together the Patriots projected 53-man roster, and I didn't see Kendrick Bourne on that list. Again, it's just a projection from a sports writer like myself, but I had been hearing rumblings that Kendrick Bourne is a little bit expendable now with the Patriots because they have some young wide receivers. I just think Kendrick Bourne would be a really good fit for what the 49ers need right now. So is it out of the question that Kendrick Bourne ends up on the 49ers to open the season? I don't think so. I think that's a pretty good handle on where the 49ers are after their first preseason game. Again, I know that the score is, it was an ugly game. I just don't know what else there could have been because of the number of players the 49ers did not play in this game and how the Broncos started out. But kind of the funny thing was it wasn't glaring at all that the 49ers were overmatched when it was their backups against the Broncos first team, where it became obvious that the Broncos had the upper hand and dominated the 49ers was when it was the Broncos backups against the 49ers third team. So put it in that kind of way, it's probably a night the 49ers coaching staff and personnel department can definitely live with. So all part of the process, kind of fun to watch to see how those 49er players fared when they were, in essence, fighting up a class and going up against a playoff caliber team, a team that went 10-7 last year and believes they can win the NFC West this year, AFC West this year, or Kansas City. It was interesting to see how the 49ers matched up their individual players when they were going up against a team comprised of an offense and a defense that was one spot higher up on the depth chart. So those are my takeaways. The day after just zipping through the NFL Plus condensed game, 42 minutes, I think it was, just try to get a read on what I might have missed last night. But those are my takeaways. Hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching, and that is it for now.